This is going to be one of, if not the best offensive teams in the league, this Laker roster. When you look at what they went out and did, Sandro Mamu, like one of the best shooting bigs in the game, like him matching with Kessler Walker, right? Yeah. His ability to stretch the floor. And so when you think about Quentin Grimes, this team is going to make the playoffs.
What happens when an NBA team completely reinvents its identity in just one offseason? To find out, we need to go back to the last time we saw the Lakers, a team that looked nothing like the one we're about to see today.
Hachimura got a three. That's 3 first-quarter triples for Hachimura.
What does an NBA team look like after completely reinventing its identity in a single offseason? To answer that, let's rewind to the last time we saw the Lakers. It was Game 4 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Lakers roll out a starting lineup featuring LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, DeAndre Ayton, Marcus Smart, and Austin Reaves. Just a few hours later, their season was over. They had been swept out of the playoffs. Like so many postseason exits before, the verdict was obvious. This team simply wasn't good enough. Now, fast forward 1 month. 4 of those 5 starters are gone. Every offseason, NBA teams make small adjustments. They add a player here, lose another there, and hope it's enough to change their fortunes. But what has happened in Los Angeles this summer goes far beyond a few roster tweaks. It represents something much bigger, a complete organizational reset. This wasn't about replacing a couple of role players. The Lakers finally confronted a problem they had been avoiding for years. One franchise-altering decision closed a chapter on the LeBron James era, dismantled much of the team's core, sacrificed a significant portion of its future assets, and may have permanently changed the direction of the franchise. Before we look at who's arriving, it's important to understand who walked out the door. On June 30th, at approximately 9 a.m. local time, nearly 6 hours before NBA teams were even allowed to contact free agents, LeBron James informed the Lakers that he would finish his career elsewhere. Just like that, one of the most iconic eras in franchise history quietly came to an end. LeBron spent 8 consecutive seasons in Los Angeles, the longest uninterrupted tenure of his career with any franchise. During that time, he delivered the Lakers' 17th NBA championship in 2020 and, while wearing the purple and gold, became the NBA's all-time leading scorer. Even at 41 years old last season, LeBron remained remarkably productive. He earned another All-Star selection while averaging 9 points, 7, 2 assists, and 6, 1 rebounds per game, shooting an efficient 51% from the field. He led the Lakers in fast break scoring, ranked first in points in the paint, and finished second on the team in assists. The postseason was no different. His workload increased when it mattered most, and he responded by averaging 23, 2 points, 7, 3 assists, and 6, 7 rebounds. He helped carry the Lakers past Houston in the first round before Oklahoma City ultimately swept them in the Western Conference semifinals. In the short term, losing LeBron unquestionably lowers the team's ceiling. But from a long-term perspective, it changes everything. At this stage of his career, LeBron no longer fit the timeline of a franchise building around a younger core. His departure finally gave the Lakers something they hadn't enjoyed in years: financial flexibility and roster freedom. Whether that flexibility becomes a foundation of another championship contender or the beginning of a painful rebuild depends entirely on what the organization does next. If LeBron had been the only major player to leave this summer, the Lakers could have absorbed the loss. NBA teams move on from stars all the time, but the departures didn't stop there. Marcus Smart was next. Smart declined his $5 $4 million player option for the 2026-27 season. The final year of the 2-year, $10. $5 million contract he signed with Los Angeles and left in free agency to join the Houston Rockets. His box score numbers weren't spectacular. Last season, he averaged 9, 3 points, 3, 0 assists, 2, 8 rebounds, and 1 for steals across 62 games, making 54 starts. But Smart's true value was never reflected in traditional statistics. With him on the court, the Lakers outscored opponents by 256 points over the course of the season. When he was off the floor, they were outscored by 112. That kind of impact is rare and highlights just how important he was to the team's success. His role was simple but essential. Marcus Smart was a Lakers' defensive anchor on the perimeter. The player trusted to guard the opponent's best scorer night after night, whether it was Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Edwards, or anyone else. That responsibility continued throughout the playoffs. He spent time defending Amen Thompson and Reed Shepherd against Houston before taking on league MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the second round. With Smart gone, the Lakers lost a backbone of their perimeter defense. And he wasn't the only departure that reshaped the roster. The Lakers also lost with a few things they couldn't afford to give up: elite shooting. Luke Kennard arrived at the trade deadline and immediately became one of the team's most dependable offensive weapons off the bench, providing spacing and consistent three-point shooting whenever the
Kennard to win the game! Yes! 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 Luke Kennard!
Pair that with the loss of Marcus Smart, and the Lakers suddenly said goodbye to two highly specialized skill sets at the same time: elite perimeter defense and reliable bench shooting. Those are the kinds of roles that look replaceable on paper, but are incredibly difficult to replicate once they're gone. And as if that were enough, Rui Hachimura also departed, signing a 2-year, $28 million contract with the Los Angeles Clippers. His exit hurts for a different reason. Unlike the others, Hachimura wasn't just another talented player. He already understood the Lakers system, had built strong chemistry with the team's primary playmakers, and knew exactly where he fit within the offense. Replacing that kind of familiarity isn't easy. Take a step back, though. This wasn't a bad Lakers team. They reached the Western Conference semifinals despite not having Luka Dončić available during the playoff run. In a Western Conference loaded with powerhouses like Oklahoma City and San Antonio, that was probably close to this roster ceiling. So if moving on from LeBron James was inevitable, why let nearly everyone else walk away as well? Because when the dust finally settled, the Lakers had lost their franchise cornerstone in LeBron James, their best perimeter defender in Marcus Smart, their most reliable bench shooter in Luke Kennard, and arguably their most efficient forward in Rui Hachimura, all in the span of a single offseason. Stack those departures together, and this doesn't look like a roster retool. It looks like a complete teardown. And if that's your first reaction, it may be exactly the reaction General Manager Rob Pelinka wanted. Because none of these moves happened by accident. Every decision pointed toward one objective: building around Luka Dončić. Even before LeBron officially announced his departure, the Lakers had quietly become Luka's team. Once LeBron left, there was no longer any debate. Every roster move, every financial decision, and every long-term plan now revolved around one player. When you acquire a generational talent like Luka Dončić, keeping him in the ideal situation becomes the organization's top priority. Fortunately for the Lakers, Luka had already made his preferences clear. Teams built around him need a few essential pieces: an athletic center who thrives in the pick and roll, elite perimeter defenders capable of covering defensive weaknesses, dependable three-point shooters who maximize spacing, and secondary scorers who can take offensive pressure off his shoulders. That became the Lakers' offseason blueprint. And once LeBron's departure opened more than $50 million in salary cap space, they finally had the financial flexibility to pursue it. Then free agency officially began. Around the league, contracts were being handed out at a frantic pace. The Lakers, however, remained unusually quiet until Wednesday morning. In the span of roughly 35 minutes, everything changed. Los Angeles completed a sign-and trade with the Utah Jazz to acquire Walker Kessler. Almost immediately afterward, they added unrestricted free agents Sandro Mamukelashvili, Quentin Grimes, and Colin Sexton, completely reshaping the roster in less than an hour. But among all those moves, one stood above the rest: Walker Kessler. For years, the Lakers had searched for an answer at center, and every attempt had fallen short. If Rob Pelinka had one mission this offseason, it was solving that problem. Everyone knew it. Luka knew it. The front office knew it. And every Lakers fan knew it. Throughout the offseason, two names consistently surfaced as the franchise's primary targets: Walker Kessler and Jalen Duren. In the end, the Lakers made their choice. They negotiated a sign-and trade with Utah, sending away first-round picks in 2031 and 2033, along with pick swaps in 2028 and 2030, before signing Kessler to a 5-year, $130 million contract. That's an enormous investment, which raises the obvious question: what exactly are the Lakers paying for? At first glance, last season doesn't provide many answers. A torn labrum limited Kessler to just 5 games before his season ended with surgery. During that brief stretch, he even flashed an improved outside shot, knocking down 6 of his 8 three-point attempts. But 5 games simply aren't enough to evaluate a player. To understand why the Lakers were willing to make such a massive commitment, you have to look one season earlier, and that's where the picture becomes much clearer. During the 2024-25 season, Kessler averaged 1 points while shooting an outstanding 66% from the field. He also grabbed 2 rebounds, and averaged 4 blocks per game, establishing himself as one of the NBA's premier interior defenders and one of the league's most impactful young centers. But Kessler's impact goes far beyond the box score. According to Basketball Index, he ranked in the 97th percentile in rim deterrence, the 90th percentile in rim disruption, and an elite 99th percentile in overall rim protection. His offensive impact was just as impressive. He finished in the 89th percentile in screen assists and the 90th percentile as a roll man, making him one of the league's most effective big men in the pick and roll. Put it all together, and you get a very specific player archetype: an elite rim protector, a powerful screen setter, a vertical lob threat who constantly puts pressure on opposing defenses. In other words, he's exactly the type of center Luka Dončić has always thrived alongside. For years, Luka has transformed rim-running big men into highly productive offensive weapons through the pick and roll. Now, Walker Kessler gets to play with one of the greatest passers the NBA has ever seen, and the partnership works both ways. Kessler helps cover many of Luka's defensive weaknesses, while Luka creates the easiest scoring opportunities Kessler has ever had in his career. Of course, the price wasn't cheap. Giving up 2 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps is a massive investment for a player coming off a significant injury. It's fair to question whether Kessler will ultimately justify that cost. But the Lakers weren't paying for the player he is today. They were investing in the player they believe he can become. At just 24 years old, Kessler perfectly fits the timeline alongside Luka Dončić and Austin Reaves, finally giving Los Angeles the long-term answer at center of the organization and Luka himself had been searching for. But the Lakers weren't finished. With Marcus Smart and Luke Kennard gone, the backcourt suddenly lacked both depth and versatility. Their next priority was finding a reliable two-way guard. The answer? Quentin Grimes. Los Angeles signed Grimes to a 4-year, $60 million contract after an impressive season in which he appeared in 75 games, averaging 4 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists while shooting 45% from field. His three-point percentage, 33%, won't immediately grab headlines. His scoring ability certainly will. Over the coming years, the Lakers are scheduled to invest roughly $475 million in Luka Dončić, Austin Reaves, and Walker Kessler alone. After entering free agency with more than $50 million in available cap space, they've now committed nearly all of it. The DeAndre Ayton trade helped create a bit more financial flexibility by bringing back Jaden Hardy and 2 second-round picks, but wasn't nearly enough to reshape the organization's long-term flexibility. Perhaps the biggest concern is what's left. The Lakers no longer possess a meaningful collection of tradable first-round picks. Only 1 future first-round asset remains available, along with 3 second-round selections. At the same time, the roster still isn't complete. They could still use another reliable backup center and an additional defensive wing. Then there's the competition. Oklahoma City and San Antonio both improved this offseason while preserving the majority of their future draft assets. The Lakers took a very different approach. They pushed nearly all of their chips to the center of the table, which means the strategy has to work. This is Rob Pelinka's first roster build entirely in the post-LeBron era, and its success depends heavily on one player, Walker Kessler. If he develops into the elite defensive anchor the Lakers believe he can become, this trade could define the next championship window in franchise history. If he doesn't, Los Angeles will have sacrificed valuable draft capital salary cap flexibility, and future roster building options with very little room to recover. That's the gamble. So no, these are not the same Lakers, not the same roster, not the same philosophy, and certainly not the same level of risk. The organization has officially stopped building around who LeBron James used to be and started building around who Luka Dončić is today. Whether this becomes one of the smartest franchise resets we've seen in years, or the gamble that ultimately defines both Rob Pelinka's career and Luka Dončić's prime, will begin to unfold when the season tips off in October. One thing, however, is beyond debate. This is Luka Dončić's team now, built around his strengths, built around his timeline, and built with one expectation: competing for an NBA championship. Now, the question is yours to answer. Did the Lakers just pull off one of the smartest roster resets in recent NBA history, or did they sacrifice far too much in their quest to build a perfect team around Luka Dončić? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to follow every twist and turn of this new Lakers era throughout the season, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because if this offseason is any indication, we're about to have a lot to talk about.